Yo, what's up, homies? I don't know if you guys know this, but today is International Bison Day. So I wanted to hold this skull as I told this story. A lot of people have probably never heard this story, but it's an old one, kind of like predating humanity. So before there was buffalo and before there was human. And remember, this is just how the story was told to me. I'm not telling you what to believe. It's just a story. But the way it was told to me is back in the day, before there was buffalo and humans, there was what they called the Oyate, a nation of beings who lived under the ground and is actually like what we descended from. So in the Oyate, there was two leaders. A very wise and elder leader named Tatanka, and a very young and cocky leader named Tokahey. And word on the streets, well, underground streets, is they were gonna get to go to the surface of the earth soon. And Tokahey was questioning Tatanka, like, hey man, isn't it about time we go up there and see what's up? And Tatanka's like, no, it's not ready yet. The earth is still new up there and things are changing and we need to wait until we go up there. Well, Tokahey, he had a whole different idea. So Tokahey got some of his followers, the people who honored him more than Tatanka, and he convinced them to go up to the surface of the earth and to take a look out of this cave. And so they went and did that. And when they went and did that, they saw this beautiful man out there, this very, very, very handsome man. And he was saying, hey, like this place is so easy to live that you can build a lodge and the animals will go inside and turn themselves into clothes and food. And Tokahey and his followers are kind of like, yeah, right, whatever. So that this handsome man, he built a teepee and he chased the animals inside of this teepee. And then he said, just wait a few minutes. A few minutes pass and he goes inside of the teepee, comes out with folded clothes and food, jerky and stuff like that. Tokahey and his followers were just in disbelief that things could be this easy. So they go back under the ground to tell Tatanka how easy it is to live up there. Tatanka, he says, anything that easy has to be a trick. I don't believe it. And little did Tokahey and his followers know that this beautiful man was Iktomi, the spider, the trickster. And this trickster, he had been kind of running short of alliances up here on the surface of the earth. All the other animal nations were kind of starting to understand that the spider was a trickster, not to trust him. But this spider, Iktomi, he had come across some wolves and they were starving. Their babies and their elders were dying of hunger. And Iktomi said, hey, if you guys make an alliance with me and help protect me, I'll give you a good, strong meal. Meet me in 4 days at the opening of this meadow in the forest, and I'll have a divine feast waiting for you. Well, Iktomi also told Tokahey and his followers, come back in 4 days and come to this meadow in the opening of the forest, and I'll provide you a great feast. So Tokahey, he's wanting to come back up. So he tells Tatanka, like I said, he said, no, anything that's easy got to be a trick. It's not right. But Tokahey, he didn't want to listen to his elder leader. So Tokahey convinces his followers, this small group of nation of beings that lived underground, this Oyate, he convinced them to leave and exit that cave and go to this great feast, right? Well, as Tokahey and his followers left the cave, their bodies began to change into something different. They turned into human beings, what we are today. And as these human beings, they started feeling hungry and started feeling cold, because their bodies weren't used to it up here. It was warmer down below. Well, Tokahey said, let's go to that meadow, where that beautiful man told us he'd feed us. And so Tokahey and his followers go to that meadow. And there sat the beautiful man in the middle. Little did they know the wolves were there waiting for him. And when the wolves attacked, they went into a bloodthirsty lust. It was really, really, really bad. And sometimes when really, really bad things happen like that, not only does it stay in the land, but it's almost inherited through your DNA. And this is why humans and wolves have never gotten along. It's why they've always been enemies. There's, of course, always exceptions, but for the most part, human beings and wolves have had it out for each other. And that's why. Well, Tatanka, the wise old leader, he had this bad feeling in his gut that Tokahey and his followers went against his will and went up there. And he knew in his gut that Tokahey needed help. So Tatanka looked at the other Deoyate, this nation of beings that lived under the ground, and he said, we got to go help our brothers and sisters. Come on, let's go. And when Tatanka came out of the cave, he came running out. No fear. No second guessing. And when he came running out with his followers behind him, they turned into buffalo. Turned into this. And they went and rescued their human relatives. But this is why in the Lakota ways, bison, buffalo, are the same thing as the Lakota people. And this is why they believe what happens to them happens to the buffalo and vice versa. And still to this day, they honor that old leader by referring to the buffalo as Tatanka. Even though the word Tatanka does not mean buffalo in the Lakota language. We honor that buffalo by calling him Tatanka. So that's not the story of Adam and Eve. We'll call it the story of Adam and Chad, aka Tatanka and Tokahey. But remember, it is just a story. No differently than you'll watch a talking raccoon on Disney. They're stories. So don't ever take to heart too much in one of these stories. It's not something that's debatable, because it's not facts. It's a story. And stories are told the way that they were told to the listener when they become the storyteller. So if you ever go and you share this story to somebody else, do your best to tell it the way I told you. That way that story stays as right for as long as possible. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Peace, homies.